Hi, good evening, y'all. Welcome to this previously scheduled school board meeting for October 29th, 2024. I want to officially call the meeting to order, and I'll be reading the district's vision. The school district of Manatee County will be an exemplary, student-focused school system that develops lifelong learners to be globally competitive. For the invocation tonight, I want to call up Mr. Frank Bruner, past school board member himself and now the chaplain for the SCF and American Legion, to lead us in the invocation, and then we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. So if y'all please rise.
Good evening. I know first you're thinking, who knew that St. Nicholas lived in Manatee County, right? So we'll be putting on the red suit soon, but not yet. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, you are our sovereign creator, redeemer, and sustainer. And we come before you right now, Lord, humbly, and ask that you would bow down your ear and hear our prayers, petitions, and supplications as we give you all praise and honor, glory and thanksgiving for the great and merciful God that you are. Lord God, we give you praise and thanksgiving for your grace, your love, and your mercy. And we pray, O Lord, that you would grant your favor and blessing upon this district, upon our families, our children, and our staff, especially right now, Lord, as we recover from not one but two hurricanes. Lord, we are reminded in your word that your ways are not like our ways, that your ways are higher than our ways, but that you work all things for good and glory. And so, Lord, we trust you that when your word also tells us to rejoice always and to pray without ceasing, for this is the will that you have for us in Christ Jesus. So, Lord, we just thank you for the opportunity to come together as a community. Lord, I thank you for the attitudes that have been changed as so many people in our school district work together at shelters and did things to help the people in our community that don't always get to interact with our school system. Lord God, I pray for your blessing and favor upon staff and children and families that were impacted by the hurricane. And I pray, Lord, that you would give them encouragement, knowing that you will never leave them and you will never forsake them. Lord God, we also pray that we would come back to a sense of normalcy as we do educate our children. And Lord, your word in Proverbs tells us that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom and knowledge. And so, Lord, I pray that within our classrooms each and every day, that our teachers would be a beacon of hope, a beacon of light, a beacon of righteousness, and to teach our children not only the 3 R's, but of reading, writing, and arithmetic, but also what is good and what is worthy and what is true. Lord, we also know that this school district is going to come under new leadership, but we pray that tonight that you would grant guidance and wisdom to the members of the board that are making decisions over our board this evening, that your thoughts would be your thoughts would be their thoughts, your words would be their words, and that all that they say and do will honor you in their decision making. But Lord, as we prepare in the near future, we're going to have some new faces on the board. And your word also tells us in Proverbs that righteousness exalts a nation, and also that when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. So Lord, I just pray that you would grant guidance and wisdom to not only this board, but to the people of this community, that as they go out and vote, that Lord, that you would give us righteous leadership that will continue to steward and administer over this school district so that you would be glorified, and that all of our staff, all of our children, all of our families would be blessed by you. In Jesus' holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. All right, that moves us to item number 6, the approval of the agenda. And the chair has found good cause to amend the agenda to include all items listed under agenda amendments on October 29th, 2024 agenda. It was updated on October 29th, 2024, and posted to the district website, manateeschools.net. Do I have a motion
So moved.
to accept? I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I will second.
And I am getting in right now.
As am I. Shame upon you.
So we have a motion and a second on the floor. Nothing needs to be added or taken away from the agenda. Board members, great. Let's go ahead and vote on if we are there yet.
I'm not there yet. If you could vote for me, please. It's a
You're
yes.
an aye? So that passes 5-0. So now we'll move on to item number 7, which is recognition. And we'll bring up Mr. Barber to take that away. Bring up our guest. Thank you.
6 or so.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, board members, and Superintendent Wysong. Tonight, it's an annual celebration that we've been having, and it's Holocaust Education Week, and we're glad to have 2 members here of the Jewish Federation of Sarasota Manatee. We have the CEO, Shep Englander. And we also have the Holocaust Education Programmer, Betty Zarek. And so Holocaust Education Week in Florida is held annually in the second week in November, which coincides with the anniversary of Kristallnacht. Okay, thank you. And that was November 9th and 10th, 1938, a major turning point in the persecution of European Jews by the Nazi regime. The Florida Education Commissioner's Task Force on Holocaust Education identifies resources to assist K-12 educators in structuring Holocaust Education Week lessons. And this year, Holocaust Education Week in Florida will be held November 4th through 8th. And we have a proclamation for Holocaust
We do.
Education Week.
Mr. Tatum,
You ready?
would you read that?
Proclamation, Holocaust Education Week 2024. Whereas the Holocaust was the state-sponsored, systematic persecution and annihilation of European Jews by Nazi Germany and its collaborators between 1933 and 1945, in which 6 million Jews were murdered, and whereas we also commemorate other victims of the Nazi regime who suffered grievous oppression and death under Nazi tyranny, and whereas the history of the Holocaust offers an opportunity to reflect on the moral responsibilities of individuals, societies, and governments, and whereas we should always remember the terrible events of the Holocaust and remain vigilant against hatred, persecution, and tyranny, and actively rededicate ourselves to the principles of individual freedom in a just society, and whereas Holocaust Education Week, as part of Florida's educational instruction of historical events, provides Floridians with a valuable opportunity to remember the victims of the Holocaust, as well as to reflect on the need to respect all peoples. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the School Board of Manatee County that the week of November 4th through 8th, 2024, shall be known, designated, and set aside as Holocaust Education Week, adopted with a quorum present and voting this 29th day of October, 2024.
Thank you, Mr. Tatum. And now, the CEO of the Jewish Federation of Sarasota Manatee, Shep Englander.
School board members, superintendent, and educators, thank you so much for taking the time to make this proclamation. More importantly, thank you for making a priority, not just Holocaust Education Week, but Holocaust education in general. We're very fortunate and grateful and appreciative that Florida is one of the states where Holocaust education is mandated as part of the curriculum all the way through the educational system, and especially in middle school and high school. And we take very seriously our partnership with the school district to help make sure that that education is supported with the highest quality curriculum and educator training and experiences so that this very difficult and challenging and important topic can be among the most excellent educational experiences that your students have. At the Jewish Federation, we do that in 3 ways. We actually help curate curriculum and offer selected curriculum that your educational experts and curriculum experts choose among and apply to different grades and situations in an age-appropriate way. We also partner with your administrators in providing professional education, professional training, so that they can fulfill their requirements, but also so that they can feel confident and clear on the best way to educate on this very challenging topic. And then we also bring Holocaust survivors themselves to speak directly with your students so that they can understand that this is not just some historical fact that happened in a faraway place, but actually that they live among people who witnessed and survived this, which is one of the most powerful ways to make it real. We will also be opening a small outdoor Holocaust museum, a Holocaust education center, this winter, at which we will welcome your students and where we look forward to figuring out the best way to make this a resource for the whole school district, and where we'll also provide additional educator training. This will be opening around February, and we'll be in touch, and we want to partner with you on how to make it the best possible resource to take our partnership with you to the next level. We know that you understand that this is not just an important topic because it was a genocide that nearly wiped out the Jewish people, but just as much because it's an example of how the discrimination against minorities coincides with the downfall of democracy, and that democracy is about building a society in which everyone can participate, and the reverse is also true. So this is very important right here, right now, for sustaining our democracy, and we appreciate your partnership and look forward to strengthening in the future. Thanks so much for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you so much.
And we're going to get a picture of
Yeah,
him with
yeah, we need to get one before.
Yes.
Yeah, let's do you get on one side, yeah, and you all get in the middle.
Can I give you my camera as well?
Sure. I'll get this first. You all move over just a little bit. Ready? Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Still, and if you want to see.
Thank you all very much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
We have more, yeah.
Good evening, Board Chair Cho and Board Member Superintendent Dr. Wysong. My name is Latrina Singleton. I am your Director of Federal Programs and Grants. Katie and I had the opportunity to be funded by the Jewish Federation of Sarasota Manatee to take a trip with Classrooms Without Borders about 2 years ago. Okay. So we were able to go to Poland and experience firsthand accounts and had a gentleman by the name of Mr. Chandler, who is turning 96 years old on December 6th. So he was our guide as we went through Poland and about 4 different areas of Poland and concentration camps. So Katie is here to share her information of her reflection of what we shared with Classrooms Without Borders. And then we also have a slideshow so that you're able to see some of the firsthand accounts that we witnessed also.
Awesome.
And I'm here for moral support for Katie as she reads.
We can talk about it.
So-
You haven't gone, it's a very emotional. and very
Yeah,
impactful
So I will
experience,
pick up
if I
if
can.
she needs help.
Thank you.
Okay.
So as Latrina said, in June of 2023, we had the privilege of traveling to Poland with Classrooms Without Borders, a trip, again, only made possible through the generation of the Federation. Throughout this trip, we visited museums, Jewish community centers, ghettos, and concentration/death camps. These educational opportunities were accompanied, as Latrina said, by the stories of survivors. We had the honor to hear about the experiences of a survivor who traveled with us the entire time and shared the specifics about his time in Auschwitz, along with the horrors he and his family faced. The trip immensely broadened my understanding of the events of the Holocaust and the heritage of the Jewish people, resonating with me beyond any anticipated scope. To say the experiential learning that occurred during this time changed me, personally and professionally, remains an understatement. I now understand that it's impossible to remotely begin comprehending the magnitude of the events of the Holocaust without visiting the sites where the genocide occurred. Nothing in a book, a documentary, or even a first-hand account can provide the experience that physically going can. For being given this opportunity, I will remain changed for the rest of my life. I walked away from the trip with a very heavy heart, weighted by profound sadness, mixed with anger, but also hope. For what I found in the darkness of the camps were not just the remnants of now silent horrors, but also the resiliency and vivacity of the Jewish people. And these places where death ripped through humanity, there is now life. Outside the crematorium of Majdanek, there exists a massive rose bush with the largest blossoms imaginable, set against the harshness of a building that consumed generations into ashes. Sorry. As I exited the crematorium, I immediately understood the presence of this thriving rose bush to be the most bittersweet juxtaposition. At first, it unleashed a mixture of nauseating rage and grief within me. But as I gathered with the other members of our group at this memorial site, that crippling feeling melted away to be replaced with hope. Circling the memorial and holding hands were like-minded individuals, some Jewish and some not, all there to honor those who had been murdered and commit to spreading awareness of anti-Semitism and its dangers. It is this feeling of hope that I try to maintain as I see the Jewish community thriving locally, and as we continue to work together with passionate collaboration to make the world better for posterity. Witnessing the resiliency of the Jewish people and the beauty of their heritage has fostered within me a continued dedication to support teachers in providing instruction to students and bolstering professional development for adults to ensure an understanding of the dangers of anti-Semitism takes root. The trip to Poland served to reinforce my commitment to be an upstander, even when it would be easier to remain silent, a task more important now than ever. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Katie. Our second recognition is to honor one of our school board members who's having their last meeting tonight, Mr. Tatum. It's been a pleasure to get to know him. Just a little background on Mr. Tatum. He is a retired U.S. Air Force colonel with 34 years of service on both active duty and in the reserves. He was elected by the voters of Manatee County to the school board on August 23rd, 2022, and he was sworn in on November 22nd, 2022. I think we've all learned that Mr. Tatum is a very diverse individual in terms of just his interest and activities. He's lived in overseas in multiple countries and cultures. He speaks French fluently, and he's been an airline pilot, and he likes fly fishing. And I think one of the things that we've learned about him, at heart, he seems to be an educator. There's something in that about education that you can see he's drawn to, and I know he's served time as an associate professor or in teaching people in a variety of ways. So with that, I'll just kind of open it, turn it over to the superintendent or school board members if you'd like to comment.
I'll let you start.
You want to let us start? Yeah, I mean, I'll start first. Mr. Tatum, it's kind of bittersweet. You going a little too quick, I believe, but you know, we met several years ago, and I really appreciate you jumped into this and really dove in, and I believe that you've only ever wanted great things for this district and the students in this district. and I really appreciate what you've brought to the board. Wish you were going to be here for the next 2 years, but I look forward to seeing where God has you going, maybe other directions. And if there's any way I can support, I definitely will. So appreciate you, and good luck.
Thanks.
I want to comment about how you not only jumped into the position, but into the schools. You attended SAC meetings, you were at shelters during the hurricanes, when it was, when we had the patrol where we went to give out awards, you were there. So, I mean, you were always there, and I admire that greatly, that you took such a strong interest in where the boots are on the ground, the classrooms, and don't know what your next plans are, but as as Mr. Tote said, we wish you the best.
Thanks, Mary.
Thank you.
I'm going to miss you. You're probably the most interesting person I know. You touch hearts in so many ways. You're probably the most patriotic person, so if you could pass this pen down to him, I'd appreciate it. Board member that's
Wait,
ever
that's
been
mine.
up here. Yeah. And I just, although you're departing this role, I see great things in your future. I know that you're just a couple of classes away from your PhD. That's a huge accomplishment, and I see that taking you wherever you really want to go. And I appreciate all the stories. And you know, you were my friend before, you've been my colleague, and you'll be my friend after and always. So I just want to thank you.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure serving with you.
I think I'd like to echo a little bit of what Mrs. Foreman said. I think you've always been incredibly present in the schools, really visible and responsive. And I think that that's something that I think all board members should strive to be. So I really appreciate that about you. And like what's already been said, I really wish you success in whatever you do. And especially finishing your doctorate. Like, that's an exciting place to be, to finish that. And so I look forward to hearing about that. So.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, go ahead.
You're next.
I'm gonna come down to the podium.
Would you like Mr. Tatum to join you?
Well, I'll talk and then
You do,
maybe you can
and
come down and
we
we
can
can finish up. Mr. Tatum, I've enjoyed getting to know you over the last 16 months or so. Appreciate all the school visits that you've joined me on. I think you've asked a lot of great questions and to make sure that we're supporting our teams, that our campuses are safe. And we have a lot of follow-up conversations too from those visits, and I will certainly miss those. I think you've helped me and our leadership team to be sure that we're always thinking family-centered, and that we're always thinking about how to be more helpful and how to say yes more often. And I think that's been a really important contribution to the school district. So we have two items for you tonight. The first is the traditional, very beautiful plaque given to each board member who departs the board. But over the next month, we'll have 3 new board members. This is a group that's accomplished a lot together in a very short time. And then, of course, we've got others departing who've been on the board for quite a while. And so we wanted to do a new tradition, something a little more than the plaque that's been given in the past. And so with assistance from my leadership team, and especially Kevin and Danielle and Laura, We arranged to have a U.S. flag flown over the state capitol earlier this semester, and we have that flag and a certificate signed by the governor to present to you this evening. So
Great.
thank you for your service to the board and the county and the community.
Great, thank you very much. All right.
Real
That's
cool.
awesome.
There's the plaque,
All right.
the flag that flew in your name over the capitol, and a certificate that goes along with that. So
Thank you very much.
some new treasures to take home with us.
It's pretty awesome.
Do you think it would be possible, would you guys want to come down here? And
Absolutely.
That's fine.
Yes.
And maybe if,
Whatever, whichever ones you want.
I can just hold this small one.
okay, there we go. And why don't you get in the center here? And then the board members on each side, and then, Ms. Foreman, if you want to come on the others. Okay. All right. Great, thank you very much. Okay. All right. Don't move over just a little bit. Great, thank you.
Speech, speech.
I'll take them. I will have 1 minute or so. You put these back here.
Time on the clock? No.
I guess I'll allow it.
Yeah, time on the clock.
I used to be a radio show host, so I got to say something, right? All right. So, when I was in the Air Force, if you generally did a good job and kept your nose clean and you were ethical, you got promoted to a certain level and, you were able to have a career. But the interesting thing about being an elected official is you actually have to convince a lot of your fellow citizens that you're up for the job, right? It's not like a promotion in the Air Force where there's a board of your superiors and they sit around and decide. This is your peers, your neighbors, your friends, the people around the county. And so it's really a privilege, obviously, to have been elected by at least a majority of the people who come out to vote. And so that's, I think, one of the biggest privileges that any human being can really have is to receive the confidence of a majority of the voters and to go into an elected position. I wanted to thank everybody in this room. There's lots of other people I could thank too, but especially the people that sit up here, the superintendent and the deputies down here that, I have a coin and actually didn't think about it, but I'm going to do this now because I got this pen from Cindy. Thank you very much. And I made it for my retirement from the Air Force. And on the front it says, better you, better me, better us, better USA. And on the back it says, I am a wingman's keeper. And so I think for this cohort right here, at least to include the two ladies over there, Laura and Danielle, give you guys a coin because you guys have been my keepers, so to speak, right? My wingmen that have helped me obviously get through this job. And I had one other thing that I wanted to share. We were able to get our certified board designation from the Florida School Board Association, and we had to go through a number of hours of training together, leadership training, which is near and dear to my heart. And they just don't hand that out. I mean, they put you through that training program, and they see how you gel as a board together, and then they hand it out or they don't hand it out. And then 2 of us are actually certified board members up here out of the 5, so that's good to know. But again, going back to that idea where, it's really your fellow citizens as an elected official that kind of make just give you the thumbs up or the thumbs down about how you're performing. I don't know if you guys remember this, but back on the October 18th, so just about a year ago, 2023, and we'd been doing our thing for about a year, there was an article that appeared in the Herald Tribune written by one of their editorial writers named Chris Anderson. And the title of the article is, Opinion, the Manatee County School Board actually governs. Where's the fun in that? All right? And I'm not going to read the whole article, but I want to read the last paragraph and the last few lines. So he says, so he kind of goes through, and it's funny, and it's worth going to read again, but his ending is like this. Now all you have is a bunch of boring board members. They don't try to run each other over with their cars. They don't threaten to pull a gun on each other. They don't bring chainsaws to meetings. They don't do anything fun. All they do is what they were elected to do. All they do is their jobs. For the good old days. So, hopefully maybe we've been able to kind of set the standard here as far as decorum and interacting together, that hopefully the next board will be boring too. And so I'll just put my little blessing upon them. If you've heard me speak, I always end like this. May the Lord bless and keep us and make his face to shine upon us and bring us all prosperity and peace here now, and whoever else is going to be after. God bless us. And God bless this greatest country on God's green earth, the United States of America. And kind of like Forrest Gump, that's all I have to say about that. Thank you.
Thank you. So that was your board comment time. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I don't need it. It's all good.
No, we really appreciate everything you've done. Definitely gonna miss you.
All right, thanks.
So it brings up the public comments. I do not believe we had any. None of your constituents want to come out and either back there and praise you, which is a good thing, I guess.
Yeah, if you don't get beat up, that's good.
A good Tuesday night. So we'll move on to the consent items. Superintendent Weissong?
Thank you, Chairman. I recommend approval of the consent agenda for the October 29th, 2024 special school board meeting.
So moved.
I'll second.
You're in Granicus now? Everybody? Good?
Yeah.
All right, so we got a motion and a second on the floor. Let's go ahead and vote on the consent items for this evening. And those are approved 5-0.
There you go.
Thank you all very much. All right, moving on to new business. Naming of East County K-8 school. Superintendent, do you have a recommendation?
I do, Chairman. I recommend that the board select a name for the East County K-8 school from among the 4 finalist names.
Thank you for a great recommendation.
You're welcome, sir.
We appreciate that. So board, we've obviously had the 4. We've been able to see some comments coming back and forth. There's something that I'd like to start off before we talk about the K-8. There's something that over the course of time, as we did this, we got names coming in, and as we've dwindled this down. Frankie House is a name that has come up about from this process. I think we first heard about it with the mayor and the councilwoman Barnaby and Mayor Bryant, who came in and were the first ones to really give us Frankie House's name. And Ms. Foreman did a fantastic job last time describing Frankie House and everything that she's done, the mother of education, etc. She's a football coach. You know, it's near and dear to my heart. I believe that there was a wrong somewhere in the system that pulled her name and recognition, etc., from Palmetto Elementary, Schoolhouse, however the years went by. Don't know how it happened, but it happened. And I believe that we need to right that wrong. But I don't believe that it's necessarily for this East County school. I believe, and I spoke with Mayor Bryant, Councilwoman Barnaby. I would like for us as a board to go through the proper steps, the 30-day, et cetera, but I would like for us to look to potentially right the wrong and in some way incorporate Frankie Howes back to Palmetto Elementary, where her roots were, that the families and the lives that she affected are right there, and it should have never been removed, however that happened. And I would like for us to somehow, and Dr. Weissong and your staff, you guys can maybe help us figure that out, whether it be Palmetto Elementary at the Frankie House campus, or whatever that verbiage is. I believe that's the right thing to do with Frankie House, not name a school that is potentially, not potentially, but miles and miles away from where she made the biggest impact that nobody may even know who she is. And so I bring that up first before we start bringing this up, because if we have some kind of consensus to maybe look into that and do that, then that obviously dwindles a name down from this list. So I'll give it up to, I don't have, my Granicus says
I'm
frozen.
stunned.
So I saw your hand up first, Ms.
All right,
Foreman,
all
so
right,
go ahead.
thank you. Actually, I came to a desire back over a year ago, and I spoke with several people on staff about renaming Palmetto Elementary. In other words, fix it, do what is right, and keep her name on Palmetto Elementary. And one of the wise people, and I don't even remember who it was, said, you know, if you change Palmetto Elementary's name, you may be righting the wrong, but you're creating a new wrong for the people who graduated from Palmetto, who are part of Palmetto Elementary. And that is part of their community now, and the people who live there, they know and love the school by the name of Palmetto Elementary. So that caused me to drop it. You know, I just said, okay, that's, you know, that makes sense. You know, now if you look at the schools throughout the county that have people's names on them, they're not necessarily by location. You know, I mean, we've got names of schools all over the place that don't match up. And Barbara Harvey is out east, but she is a Palmetto person. So I would not be content with that. And I think a lot of the Frankie House people would not. I did do a tally of what people were saying. Now, granted, a tally is pretty subjective because there was no restriction on who could vote and how many times you could vote, and you know, so it's not very. But number one was Lake Manatee. Number two is Frankie House, and number three was Tim Colby. And so I don't know that we have a mandate from the public on that, but there are a lot of houses. I don't know if you all read them, you know, but a lot of descendants of hers and people who are descended from her former students. Something needs to be done, but I don't think tacking it on to the name, just as we talked about tacking on a name at another school not that long ago, that will get dropped. And I'm not necessarily convinced that the East County is the proper school. Probably Artisan Lakes would be better, but we can't vote on that tonight, you know. And so that when you pull up the minutes, and any time we named a school, Frankie's name was always there, because there are always people who are wanting to fix this. And if we don't fix this tonight, I don't feel comfortable that it's going to get fixed. And making do with sticking her name on something or putting up a plaque, which there used to be a plaque there, that's pretty poor substitution. And frankly, I think of taking away the name of someone on a school. And this isn't the first time we've done it, by the way. I don't know if you all have heard of Walker Junior High? Yeah, okay, you're shaking your head, yes. Okay, well, Ms. Walker is nowhere to be found.
Nor is the school, unfortunately.
Nor is the school, but in this case, the school was torn down, but it was built back up. But, so, I mean, if you two were willing to commit to that name for Artisan Lakes, I could be fine with that. But we're not, I don't think we're negotiating here, are we? So, so I just want to say that, you know, it's, for us to walk away from this opportunity where we've got public support, we've got public interest, I think it's wrong. And as far as the Lake Manatee goes, because I had two names that I could possibly support, and one was Lake Manatee. I went through the names of our schools, and all of our high schools, none of our high schools are named after people. And that's probably appropriate. I went to another school district and to see how they name their schools, and they say their elementary schools need to be named after a person who contributed to education in the community. The middle schools need to be named after a president. Well, we've got one president, but that's, you know, that's about it. And then the high schools should be named after geography. And so I don't even know if the new high school is going to be near Lake Manatee or not. But it's, yeah, you're, okay. My geography of what's going on out, knowledge of geography out east is pretty slim. But no, if we don't name a school after Frankie House tonight, then shame on us. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
I don't see.
I can't, it's
Granny,
frozen.
yeah, it's frozen on,
Yeah.
so whoever wants to go next.
I will.
Sure.
I will. I look at all of the people that are on the retirement for the district. There's so many people that have left just in the past 3 years that could be deserving of a name. We come up with all the accolades that people do, and I don't discredit what they've done for the community. Coming from the north, this is the only place that I've ever been to that had most of their schools named after individuals. Up there, it's named by the region for a reason, so you know what area that school is in. And I did, I looked at the list like everyone else, and my numbers are a little different than what you're saying. I have 100 votes for Lake Manatee. I have 76 for Mr. Colby, is that how you say that? 29 for Liberty, and 72 for Miss House.
I don't know what you're looking at, but there were about 800 votes, 800 or 900 votes.
There's a second page, I think.
I have
There were three.
the first, okay.
So that's totally
The first,
inaccurate.
okay, I checked with the girls today, and I said spreadsheet number 2 and spreadsheet number 3 is what the four final were, because that's when the clock started over. In my mind, that's when the clock started over for the naming, was those 4 options.
No, there was
So, Okay.
Hold on, I want to make sure I
Yeah,
understand
we just
something.
need to make this clear.
We have received 3 documents, plus the nominations from the original.
Let me get on my.
So we've had 3 spreadsheets that all came after we made our finalists. And we got 1 document that was the previous nominations. Am I correct? Okay. I just want to make sure that
Okay.
I knew what I was looking at. I want to make sure I understood.
Okay, the original. So you're saying the original plus the other 2.
Plus
No.
3.
There's 3 plus the
The
original.
third one just came this morning at 9:19 a.m.
And that's the one,
And then there
right,
was 2
that I
others.
printed. I printed that one. Okay,
The
so,
first one had about 40 pages.
right,
Mm-hmm.
right,
Then the second one had, I think, 20.
right.
And
What?
then there was a third, but it really didn't fill up the whole 20 pages.
I put it on an Excel spreadsheet, guys.
Oh,
Okay.
Sorry. You know,
That was
that's-
my, like, I just wanted on an Excel spreadsheet, because I,
So tell me
You can
what
do
your
it-
numbers
You can do
are.
an export. You can do an export. Shoot. It was,
I have my numbers,
Okay,
okay.
and my numbers put them in the same order as Mrs. Foreman's.
Mhm.
I did not count if they'd listed 2. If they were dead even, I want this one or that one, I did not count that person, because how do I pick which one they wanted? I also did not count if they did not say, like, there were some comments that said, honor the educator.
Right,
Well, that
right.
was 2 educators, I didn't count those.
Right.
So, just putting those parameters on my count, this is my count, which is once again a tally like Mrs. Foreman, so it's as good as I could do. Lake Manatee had 295 votes.
okay,
Howes had 278 votes. Colby had 253 votes. One of those votes was my 3rd grade teacher from Palmasola Elementary.
Yeah.
And
Liberty.
Liberty had 108 votes.
okay.
That was my count from the tallies, from those 3 documents, not
I
counting
trust you, because I
the
didn't count the
original
third one.
document. I did not
Right.
count those in my count, although that would be an interesting number if I did that, because that would really boost Colby. But I did not do that.
Right. Okay. I'm still gonna stay to I understand your position with Ms. House. It should be in Palmetto. That's where the history's at. There can be an effort to name one of the buildings, one of the whatever. I don't know where her name got dropped and Palmetto got in. How many years ago was that? Does anyone know?
Well, it was named after her in 1939.
Right, I understand. When
And she
did
died.
Palmetto come in and be named?
Well, it was Palmetto. And in 1939, they passed a resolution naming it after her.
Right,
So when the new building got built, that's when,
That schoolhouse was in a historic society. Like it was moved to where the historic, and it was never, like that name was never re-put back on
right,
the
right.
building.
The plaque is sitting over there in the park, so.
okay. I'm sticking to my regional. I just don't think naming the schools after individuals, whole schools, I just don't, I will never support that until, I've said that from day one, I won't ever support that. If you want to add a trailer to a name, that would be a board decision to do that. But I am supportive of the Lake Manatee. Not only did it came in at the higher vote, it's not up to, I can't fix something that I didn't break. And I don't think it's up to this board to fix something that they didn't break. I think that the community can, do something over there at, you said she was a coach of what?
Football.
Football. They just got a new turf over there.
They're not gonna,
I'm just saying. So, I'm gonna stick with the Lake Manatee simply because it's a regional. And people, when they look up or anticipate moving down, they're not gonna look for a name of a school. They're gonna look at the name of the development or the area. Oh, that's by this particular lake. Oh, yeah, there's a school. And I went through the names of our schools. And there, you know, and I mentioned it at the workshop before. I said Southeast, Manatee, Palmetto, Parish, Lakewood Ranch, Bay Shore, all of those are regional names.
those are high schools.
And that's fine too, but to me, it doesn't need to be defined to an elementary or a high school. Palmasola is an elementary school. And everyone knows where Palmasola is because it's in a Palmasola community.
One Terra and Brain River Elementary.
Terra,
Middle-
right, there's
multiple.
so
Yeah,
many,
sure.
Manatee L,
I don't think
there's
we've
so
ever
many
stuck with
examples.
one thing.
So I don't know
Made it
where,
easy for us.
at some point, boards before us, long before us, started naming schools after individuals. Years and years, I don't know how long. Witt and Mona Jane and all of those have been around. That's not for me to decide. A previous board just named those schools. But it's on my heart to move out of that habit, and if the community wants to name a building or whatever, I'm fine with that, but I'm sticking with the Lake Manatee. It got the most votes, and the people have spoken.
Well,
That's
you
just-
and your husband voted, so that's 2 votes you need to bring off.
Oh, but, yeah,
You don't count.
That's great.
Yeah.
You looked at
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Oh,
That looks like a disappointment.
Extremely excited.
sometimes there's benefit in being last. I just want to point out that Southeast as a name makes 0 sense. It might have made sense when it was named that,
Yeah.
but it makes no sense now.
Sure.
So directionality,
I don't think the lake.
but you're right, my dad did graduate from Walker Junior High.
Did he? Okay.
So,
2 of you who know who she was.
Yeah.
3.
so, I guess I feel like it's a real rare opportunity that this board has the privilege of honoring a person in such a magnitude. What a rare opportunity it is to honor an educator to this level. It would be a mistake to not fully consider that, because it is such a point of pride for this community, for the school district, for the families that live here, to be able to say, look, we have these wonderful educators and we value them, we support them, they're important to our community, and we're going to make sure that the community knows their name. So I think it's such a rare opportunity that we as a board get to do that and honor educators, that I think it's a mistake not to take advantage of that when we have it before us. I think the vote was very close, a difference of 20, and that was just who were able to reach out to us in the short amount of time we gave them. And that was among people that voted saying, honor the educator, but I couldn't even count that vote because who are they referencing? And we all read those comments, so there was comments in there that, like, you could have been talking about this person, you could have been talking about that person. I can see the hesitancy of naming a building after a person when that person has recently left the district, like for instance, I really would have loved to have seen Dr. Gibson's name on a building, but she's only been gone for 4 years. And that would have required a supermajority, and it was clear that wasn't going to happen. However, Ms. House has been gone for a very long time. You don't need to worry if their reputation is going to be sullied. You don't need to worry if community opinion is going to change. That's not a concern here, which is a valid concern for other people that were named. Sorry, third grade teacher. I won't say her name. She voted for Colby. And I would have been gung-ho if he had been first or second, but since he was third, I'm trying to respect what the community has said and wishes. I can support Lake Manatee if that's the will of this board, but I think it's a mistake. I really think this board is missing an opportunity of this magnitude. It's just a mistake that this board would make. The community has clearly spoken, and they want to see this person honored. So I don't, I have no hesitancy about naming it after Frankie House. I think it would be a true honor, and I'm not worried about righting a wrong. Like, that's not, this is to me not that. This is honoring her and her legacy, and I can't fix what happened in the past. So I can't right that wrong. That's not, this is just truly honoring her, because that has fallen away. So to me, I have no hesitancy in voting for House. I think that that's the right decision. I think it'd be a mistake not to do that.
Mr. Tatum?
Maybe it's the military part of me that is going to come out now, but the whole honoring of people thing, just, I don't know, memorializing human beings and setting them on a pedestal. I mean, there are some people, you know, certain founding fathers of America, or even founding mothers, but memorializing, I'm just not a fan of it. I just, there's other ways to, I even was sitting here thinking, like, because I like your idea about memorializing these people and honoring them for their service. This would cost some money, but you could even set up like a little Manatee County Educator Hall of Fame. You know, you could have a room or a little area in one of our buildings somewhere where you, and then the board votes, you know, these people are of such magnitude that they deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, you know, of Manatee County educators or something like that. But there's, you know, just in sitting here in the 2 years that I've been here, I've seen people that have been here for 40 years, 38 years, 42 years. I mean, how do you differentiate between Tim Colby and Ms. Howell? Well, Ms. Howell has been, you know, deceased for a while, and I don't know. There's probably, like I said before, 500 people in this community that are former educators that have served 25, 30, 35, 40 years, that have been principals. That, so I won't belabor the point. I'm just not a big fan of memorializing people in this way by sticking their names on the side of a building. And so I'll be supporting Lake Manatee, which is not in any way, shape, or form to denigrate the contributions of Frankie and of Mr. Colby. And like I said, if we were voting tonight to put these people in a Hall of Fame or something, I'd probably give the thumbs up on that. But I'm just not a fan of memorializing people with their names on the side of a building. And I do think that there is something to be said for having a neighborhood school named after some type of area around which it sits. I know where Mayak Elementary is. I know where Braden River Elementary is. I know where their middle school is. I know where Lakewood Ranch High School is. I know where Braden River, well, actually Braden River High School is kind of right there on the Braden River, if you think about it, you know. Bayside is, or Bayshore is where we know where it is. Anyway, I won't belabor the point. I'll be supporting Lake Manatee. But I'd like to still honor the contributions of Ms. Colby and Frankie, and maybe there's some other way that we can honor them, because they deserve to be honored, but not maybe with their name on the side of the building.
Okay.
Yep.
May I comment? Frankie Howes
Mhm.
started the school in Palmetto. It was the first school, and she's been called the mother of education, which I think is a stretch, because I think that honor belongs to Electa Lee.
Mhm.
But, so I don't think you can compare the honor to a founder
Mhm.
to, I agree, there's a lot of really good people, but I don't think you can compare the honor and the distinction between the two of them. And we're honoring the legacy and the heritage of education in Manatee County is what we're doing by naming it Frankie Howes. So. Also,
Go ahead.
well, think about it. You want to talk about nicknames? That dam school, Manatee Dam. What if it floods again? I think, talk about a tarnished reputation,
Oh,
so just throwing that out.
Many people approached me during this process because they knew it was coming. They didn't vote, but they are all, most of them, I'm telling you, 99% of the people that probably didn't vote, tried to encourage them, well, put your name, put the name in, are against schools after people. And I like your idea of having an Educators Hall of Fame. That would be, to me, a bigger, that to me would be a good project to think about. But we only have so many schools, and we've got a lot of great former educators in our district. We only have so many. And for this to be named Howes all the way out east just doesn't, to me, right that ship. Again, Palmetto can come forward and say, we want to change the name of Palmetto L. They can bring that forward. That's where she originated from, not 20 miles from here, out east. So that's, yeah, I'm still, Lake Manatee is where I think we should go.
You all already have heard some of my thoughts and ideas, and I'd say a little more like why I got to the thinking of where I got was, and for those of you who don't, most do, but my grandfather spent 35 plus years in this district, all at Manatee High School. And I don't think the administration building was named after him. And I don't think, thinking about the impact and how many lives he affected and changed, etc., I don't think he would have said, yeah, give me that elementary school, give me that middle school, 25 miles out. I think he wants to be right where he was for 35 plus years, and the school that he tried to impact and make a major difference in kids' lives. And so that, to me, was where the idea of making it right at Palmetto Elementary, and you're not getting rid of Palmetto Elementary altogether. I think you're putting both legacies together, Frankie Howes and Palmetto Elementary. It's obviously sits right in the middle of Palmetto. But I just think about if Frankie was here, well, she probably wouldn't want to be blown up and put on a building and stuff anyways, if I had to guess.
Well, no,
Someone
it
like
happened during her lifetime.
Yeah, but I'm saying she'd probably say, "Don't make a fuss." That's the way. Don't make a fuss about me, whatever. But I believe that I truly believe that where she should be is where she made her impact, and the Palmetto families are the ones who know her and are the ones who were impacted by her directly. And when I came up with, when I asked the folks I asked, who are probably more impacted this than anybody else, they thought it would be a great idea. They loved it. They loved it to be back there. I'm not the Artisan Lake School, whatever, like that's down the road. We could fix it. I mean, we could truly fix it and actually fix it, not just say, hey, we're fixing it and putting her out 25 miles out. I just, I mean, we gotta have a question. Someone's gotta
I make a motion.
Make a motion here.
I'll make a motion that we name the new K through 8 school Lake Manatee.
I'll second.
I think it
I'll
needs.
second, make sure that got it.
Oh, do you need a K through 8 and all
Yes,
that?
I
Okay.
think
Well-
it needs to be named.
That was gonna be my next question.
All right,
So I maybe should
I'll
jump.
modify it. Okay.
Dr. Weissong, you want some kind of direction of KA, I know I've seen academy, prep, whatever, but you need some kind of direction on that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So you just don't want a name and then you guys can deal with everything else.
Okay. Then
Well, we wouldn't want to make,
And assumption.
as a staff, we don't want to make an assumption about the
Right.
board's intent. So I think
Right.
it's important to be clear about what's going up on the entrance sign on the side of the building, what's going in the master
Right.
school identification file at the Florida Department of Education.
Okay.
Can I ask a real
Then
quick
I'll-
question before you jump on your motion?
Right.
Can I ask a quick question? The current do we have K8 actually on the building now?
Like at Palmview or Johnson?
Yeah,
None
we
of them
actually
have
say
K8.
K8. I'm asking because I really don't remember like signage and going out there and seeing it.
No.
But
do
it's the
not.
official name.
I think it is in like yes at the State Department of Education, the Florida Department of Education, but I don't know if
It's on the buildings, no.
I don't know. I can't remember.
I go by Johnson all the time. It doesn't
it?
say.
He looked it up. It is.
So, yeah, it's just pulling up Palmview online. It looks like it's on the sign and on the school logo.
Okay, so there's Palmview K8 school.
Palmview K8,
That's it. Palmview K8.
correct.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't really care. I
don't
I want to
care.
just make sure we're kind of staying with what we've already been doing. And Johnson is the same way, maybe Johnson K8?
No, it's,
Or does it say like,
it's
the preparatory, or it says something like,
International.
International
yeah,
Black Road.
is the
yeah.
IB.
It's a IB. It doesn't say K8.
Mr. Chapman's got it?
Yeah, Louise R. Johnson, K8, School of International Studies.
Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, it's the IB connected to it, so a little bit different.
And then in the Florida Department of Education master school ID file, it's Palmview K through 8 school.
Okay,
And then at Johnson, it's exactly as Mr. Jensen read.
just read it.
Okay.
Okay.
So then I'll modify my motion to say, I'd like to name the new school out east, Lake Manatee Academy K through 8.
Could we have discussion on that?
Well, that's only a motion.
That's a
so-
motion.
you have
I
a
need a
second?
second.
I'll second.
Okay.
All right, now we have discussion. Okay.
I saw a lot, we do not have a single school named in Manatee County with academy other than the charter schools, and we didn't name those. So I think that is confusing if we put academy on there. I think it should just be, the Lake Manatee K-8 school.
I agree with that.
I
I think it'd be
tend to-
confusing.
I tend to agree. I think that academy it does, most charters say academy.
Yeah.
And,
And that's why
Break it down.
everybody goes to them instead of our schools, because they think they're more preppy than us.
I think we
I
have more
don't,
students
I
at
think
our schools than
everybody is
charters.
the wording of everybody going there is so wildly inaccurate. I think that that's just not a message we want to send from this dais.
So maybe my ears didn't pick that. Is that what the motion included, the word academy?
Yes.
It did.
It said Lake Manatee K-8 Academy.
might
I
didn't
said
pick
Lake
that up.
Manatee Academy K-8.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I
sorry.
would just go with, well, even though I
Because
seconded
that's
it.
what I saw on some of
Mm-hmm.
the lists, the extensions were more academy. Lake Manatee, I didn't see Lake Manatee K-8. Even the Liberties were academies.
I saw plenty of K-8s in there too. I don't,
Right,
I
I
don't think
guess.
people were picking, I don't think what we got sent in was K-8 or Academy. It was more the name.
Lake Manatee, you're right. The most popular was just Lake Manatee. But apparently we have to have a modifier of K-8.
Because that
just-
explains to people what the school really is, and that's a marketing piece, because families love the K-8.
Right.
So we want that in the title. I understand that you think people would love the word academy, and I'm not actually disagreeing with your point.
Right.
However, I think it would be confusing. That's really more of the point.
So can we do an amendment to just make it Lake Manatee K through 8, K-8 school then? So I would motion to,
Well,
It's
we're
a
gonna-
friendly,
we're gonna
a
ask for it to
friendly
amend.
amendment, a friendly amendment, and
Okay.
yes, I accept a friendly amendment to Lake Manatee K-8.
okay.
K-8.
K
Suppo-
through dash eight.
Oh, yeah.
K-8 for clarity,
Yeah, there we go.
is that all right?
Yeah. Do I,
The way it looks in the new business.
yeah, do I second that amendment then as a friendly amendment? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, I'll second it. All right,
So,
I'll make
back to
one.
discussion.
One point of discussion is for the people who came up with liberty. I mean, if I were king, I'd make it liberty. I like this idea, liberty and freedom and justice and courage, but I'm not king. We did away with kings in the United States of America, so I'll go along with what a lot of the people said and support the motion at hand, so.
Well, I like justice, and justice would be
That's right.
Frankie House.
Frankie, there you go.
Yeah. Just, I don't give up easy, so.
So
I
we're
haven't
frozen in Granicus. I've tried to get out and log back in so we can make this. It's blown up, okay, so,
Yeah, we're still frozen on our.
It's
Yeah.
the ghost of Frankie House.
oh my goodness.
Is there any other discussion on this?
I would like to state that I really do think this is a mistake to go this way, but it did receive the most votes, and because of that, I will support it. But the most votes was a very, very slim margin, and I think it would behoove this board to really think seriously about the Artisan Lakes Elementary School. That's
Whole
all.
new board for that one.
Any other further discussion? I'll say this, I'm in favor of Lake Manatee, and I'm still in favor of righting the wrong with Palmetto and Frankie House. So, I'll fill out the list, I'll fill out the form tonight and send it into everybody, and we can formally do it. Any other
No.
discussion?
I'm sorry, formally do what?
I'll fill out the form that you gotta do to name a building, a place, etc. If we wanna go through formalities.
Right,
Like
For Lake Manatee.
no,
No.
Frankie House.
for Palmetto Elementary, for naming the campus, building something.
Right,
Okay, well, then, but the board hasn't decided, hasn't voted on that.
no,
I know,
it
that's
has
what
to
I
go
said.
through the
I said I was
legal
gonna start a
process.
form.
Oh,
do
to
the form.
start the process?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, all right, okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
Sorry.
So we're to the vote, right?
Hmm?
Yeah, no more discussion. So let's go ahead and vote. We're doing it verbally, correct? Yeah? All right, all those in favor of naming the East County K-8 school officially Lake Manatee K-8, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Carries 5-0.
Thank you.
That damn school.
That damn school, you can call it.
Moving us to item number 2, Superintendent Weissong, under new business.
Thank you, Chairman. I recommend approval of the 2024-25 salary schedules for hourly non-bargaining personnel, school administrators, and supervisory, administrative, managerial, and professional staff.
can't do anything on
You-
My letter
Go ahead
is
and
right.
motion if just verbally.
All motion, yes.
So Ms. Spray's a motion, any second?
I will second.
Dr. Weissong, you want to just kind of explain, I mean,
There
you
you
don't
go.
think any specifics, whatever, it was attached, but
Yeah.
Yeah, board members, the purpose of this item is to move forward with salary adjustments for the 2024-25 school year for employees in the district who are not represented by a bargaining unit. So that would include specifically non-bargaining personnel who are hourly, and then our salaried supervisory, administrative, managerial, and professional staff unit, and then our school administrators, principals, assistant principals, and athletic directors. We have attached those salary schedules and those adjustments. The purpose of bringing the item tonight is that if the board approves the item, then our incredible finance division, our personnel, our payroll department, excuse me, will be able to make the salary adjustments and the retroactive payments on the November 15th paycheck, along with all of the employees represented by Manatee Education Association. And so that would bring all but one group of our employees current before we roll into the Thanksgiving holidays. Thank you.
thank you.
Well done.
I don't know if anybody else, because I know we can't do it on Granicus, I'll jump in and say, just this whole process, I know we had a bargaining session, executive session, prior to this, but I'll give you kudos to the admin team. You guys have, MEA was pretty flawless. I know we were waiting on this to try to get ASME, we're working with that group, but, creating the budget and sticking and getting that budget created, and what our parameters here with the board and what we expect, and still giving, wanting to give our folks raises and wanting to give them, they work hard, and I really appreciate the finance staff, everybody, all the deputies, everybody's been working really hard on this, and Dr. Weissong, you as well. So I would just want to say thank you.
May I ask someone to address, in the past, we have always done SAMP last, okay? Could someone clarify why we are doing SAMP ahead of ASME here?
I can do that, Mrs. Foreman. We've been continuing to bargain with AFSCME. That process started approximately 70 days ago. We are back at we have another scheduled session with that group tomorrow. We have just reached the point where we need to take care of all of our employees who are waiting, and then we will finish that last process as soon as we're able to come to an agreement. But we've got a lot of employees in roles who count on that annual salary adjustment and need us to move forward. So that's why I'm bringing the recommendation tonight as opposed to waiting for the completion of that process in the event that it takes much longer to complete.
Thank you.
All right, I don't see anybody else jumping to talk. So let's go ahead and vote. Are we in Granicus now?
No, I've tried.
Froze again? Okay. Oh. Yeah, it looks like it says voting in progress.
Oh, so we're back in?
I
Yep.
need to, I closed this. Give me just a second to log back in.
I did the same thing. I
So
closed it.
yeah, if you can log into
Came back up.
Granicus
Oh, there we are.
and vote on the approval for the 24-25 salary schedules for SAMP, hourly, non-bargaining, school administrators. Thank you, and that passes 5-0. Granicus is working, we're back
Yay.
in. All right, item number 3 in our new business, the revision of a current job description. Superintendent Weissong?
Thank you, Chairman. I recommend approval of the proposed revisions to one current job description.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion is second, you want to go ahead and explain to the public and everybody else what that job description is?
Thank you, Chairman. The job description that is under revision tonight is for a role that has previously been referenced as a director of attendance or a director of student demographics. We have revisioned that role, and the new title for that position is Director of Student Enrollment, Pathway, and Experience. And it reflects the changing approach and our more family-centered approach to doing this type of work. And as you'll remember, you approved the hiring of Mr. Jamara Clark last summer. We put him in the role and then started working on a needs assessment for that team. And he presented to the board at a workshop last month and really laid out the vision moving forward for helping families get registered and into the district, assisting with the selection of feeder patterns and pathways. There are more school choice options than ever. And then really that student experience on campus and the articulation process, the movement from one campus to the other. So the revised job description reflects the updated vision for that work. There is no financial impact. There's no change to salary. It's just an update of those duties and responsibilities and goals to reflect that change in focus. Thank you.
Thank you. The board members look like they want to comment. Nobody has clicked on to comment, so let's go ahead and vote on the revision of the current job description that the superintendent is recommending, and that is a 5-0 vote. Item number 4, the approval of the 9 through 12 personal finance literacy adoption committee recommendation for 25-26 school year. Superintendent Weissong.
Thank you, Chairman. I recommend approval of the grades 9 through 12 Personal Financial Literacy Adoption Committee's recommendations for the 2025-26 school year.
I'll motion.
We have a motion?
I was waiting on you
Yeah.
as a financial.
I'll second.
And we have a second? Yeah.
I'll second.
Dr. Weissong, you want to go ahead and explain this, or what,
Yeah,
whether you, Mr. Jensen?
Mr. Jensen and Mrs. Spradling are both here, so I'll defer to them.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Good evening, Church, board members, Superintendent Weissong. I just want to thank Ms. Spradling and the teachers and community members who served on our adoption committee. As we've done before, we convened a committee to go through the process of reviewing materials that are on the state short bid list for the personal financial literacy high school course code, which is now a required half credit for students to graduate. So all of our current sophomores and current freshmen have to have that course in order to graduate. So this is the culmination, this recommendation is the culmination of the committee's recommendations. We're presenting them in a ranked order list, and with your approval, and after we go through that process, we'll wait for the state to release their final approved list, and then as the recommendation states, we'll order the highest recommended material that's also on the state's adoption list at the time of purchase.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that the feedback that I got from people who was involved in that committee or shared their experience was very positive.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you very much
Yeah.
for that. All right, I don't see anyone lit up to speak or comment. Let's go ahead and vote on the approval of the 9 through 12 personal finance literacy adoption committee recommendations for 25-26. And that passes unanimous 5-0. Moving on to item number 5, Superintendent Weissong.
Thank you, Chairman. I recommend authorization to negotiate construction management at-risk services for the Artisan Lakes Elementary School future site and the Rye Ranch Elementary School future site prototype.
So moved.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second, and Dr. Weissong, you just want to explain what these prototypes are and et cetera?
Yes, I'm actually going to ask Mr. Rinaldi just to summarize the process and where we're at.
I think the mic's on. You don't have to get up.
That'd be
if you
great.
don't
You can just go there.
want to. Mr. Jensen just wanted his steps in, I think.
He just wants to. Both of these schools, we selected a single architect to do the design. We've been working about the last 2 months to actually get their prototype, working on both of these sites that we're in the process of purchasing. The prototype came actually from Collier County, but it's a local architectural firm that is the designers. We actually evaluated whether we were going to have individual contractors on each of these projects. And Skanska kind of came to the table and they really knocked it kind of out of the park. They identified both from a standpoint of scheduling as well as cost, as well as just the efficiency of the construction process, why we should go with a single CM. And the committee felt very comfortable with them. They recently completed a project at Buffalo Creek for us. And we really feel that having a single construction manager is going to benefit the district, realizing some cost savings, and probably streamline the overall construction process because of the communication that's going to be happening between the two sites. So that's kind of where we stand right now.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I asked this to be pulled from consent agenda because I wanted to discuss the process more than I do the selection. Was any member of the board present when they did their presentation?
I couldn't.
We were legally advised
Not
not to attend.
Well, they said one person, so I wasn't sure if one person attended, so. We all started getting invitations to go and watch the presentation roughly when I came on the board, because all of the construction's going on out east, and Miss Messenger was going to all of them. And that seat will probably be the one if just one person is selected. I have attended many, and I never say anything. I sit in the back of the room, and we've all gone. And the fact that we are asked to not attend because possibly we'd be violating sunshine, which, by the way, there's enough people in the room to know if we say anything. To me, frankly, that's a stretch, but also we're being asked to vote on something that we do not have knowledge of. Mm-hmm. We don't have information. We were not there. We didn't get to hear the presentation. And if we did hear something or see something that we were concerned about, we could go then one-on-one with Mr. Rinaldi and talk about it. So I respectfully ask our board attorney to reverse his recommendation and allow us in the future to always be invited and free to attend as we have in the past. So.
That's going to be something he's going to have to, not right here in a
Right.
minute,
Right.
on the spot. But Ms. Messenger?
Yeah, that's not really what's before us, but I do agree with Mrs. Foreman because I always got a lot out of going to those. I never I didn't talk to anyone. Like, I didn't want to sway anyone's opinion on anything, so I never said anything to anyone except for how's the weather or how's your child or whatever. Like, I never talked about anything that was being presented to anyone because I didn't want any perception that I was putting my thumb on the scale for anything. Mm-hmm. But I did get a lot out of going. Mm-hmm. Because I would watch the presentations and see, okay, this is what their plan is, knowing that it was going to change when it finally came before us, but at least understanding the starting point. I got a lot out of that as a board member that helped me sitting here. Mm-hmm. So that is something that I hope is considered with what's coming forward for this board, because you're going to have several new people and they're not going to understand the process. They're not going to understand where it starts. And it really would benefit, it benefited me. And you're right, there's a lot of construction happening in my area, but it benefits everybody. Because it helps you understand the process and it helps you understand where we started. And it just, from somebody that was an educator, that wasn't my background. You know, maybe somebody that gets elected and that is their background, maybe they don't need to go. But that wasn't my background, and I love to learn new things, and this was a great opportunity for me to go, and I just really enjoyed it. And I liked to hear, you know, they always have principals in there, they have other experts in there, and I like to hear what they're thinking, what questions they're noticing. It was the first time I noticed the impeccable attention to detail that Mr. Rinaldi was sitting in those meetings and going, whoa, he looks at every single thing. That gave me faith in him. So I think it would behoove the board to either put it on a rotation if you can't have more than one, or find a way to make it so that it's available, because, you know, I do think there's a real benefit.
Yeah, and like you said, you build confidence in the team, the construction team, and I got to attend the one for the K-8 that we were just talking about tonight, and that it was very insightful as to the differences between individual schools and what to consider in a K-8, and so yeah, I think we're a more informed board is a better board.
Ms. Brown?
Make that a motto.
That's a good one. I
Thank you.
like that.
Thank you.
I've been to one of these, maybe two, since I've been on the board, and it is very helpful. My thing is, and I'm glad you pulled this, Ms. Foreman, because it allows us to now talk. My thing is, and I've said this to the cabinet, there's not a citizen on this committee at all. It's all the district staff, the leadership of the district. There's no community input of what these prototypes are going to be. And no prototype, a lot of people don't even really know what when we go, what we're looking at. And we're looking at design of what each construction company or architect wants to bring to us. And then this committee picks from those 2 or 3, 4, whatever, who we welcome in. It's a very structured process. But the people in the community don't ever get to see that. We sit here time and time again at workshops and go over, like the Soren 4 building. We had a long workshop over that. We have long workshops over everything else. But when we build a school, all we get is recommendations. So, I mean, cycling through the prototype, I think that would be hard for board members to do that. I think the board members should be able to there as a group, advertise it, whatever you have to do. But whether it's a presentation or the board's at the initial presentation, and a citizen, I think, should be on that, should be considered for that committee. They may not know the electrical design, the plumbing design, and all of that, but they would see the overall aesthetics of what that building would look like. So I think a individual community person should be on this team. But I like the fact that we're doing 2 different schools with the same kind of construction. I like that because then it is going to save us cost, I think. So, but that's my 2 cents. I think there's something that the new board should look at how we see all of these prototypes. And I don't know, like I said, we get all kinds of presentations, but never one on a.
Well, I think we will
school.
get a presentation. I mean, we will eventually, once this is actually
Right.
built, you know, there's design, there's things, we'll get a some kind of workshop. And we haven't had that workshop, obviously, yet.
Right, but it
I
will
think
be the
it-
design that that committee selected, period. We won't have the option.
Oh, we sit here sometimes and say, hey, tweak this roadway, et cetera, trying to get a turn lane from roads and things like that. But I guess I'm just a little, maybe it's because I just turned 40 recently, but I'm lost. When was there a, when did the attorney, when did Mr. Dye say we can't go? Was there a email? Is this like an
Yeah, it
email
was an
chain that
email.
happened? Okay. I guess that's about as easy as it gets. There's an email chain. And that we were told nobody could go?
It was recommended.
We just couldn't go as more than one because of sunshine issues.
But that's always been the case.
But we weren't invited,
No,
usually we get invited and you know when it's gonna be. I didn't know it was happening. And if nothing else, let me see, this would have been in whose district? Rye Ridge.
Yours. Not yours. Well, one of them is in yours and one's in
Yeah.
yours.
yeah.
right.
I think, right? Yes,
Can I just, real quick?
absolutely.
Come on, Mr. Dye.
So we can look at reviewing the process moving forward. So this came up kind of quick, and what I didn't want to happen is committees, staff committees, have certain exemptions from the sunshine. But if you start adding certain things like board members attending, you got to be careful you don't turn it into a sunshine committee. And then you have to advertise it, allow the public, all that stuff, right? So that's what I wanted to avoid. But I'm not trying to prevent the board from having all the information that you want in any decision that you're going to be making, especially big decisions like construction projects. So I think we can look at the process and improve it, and then come back to you with options on that. But
I like potentially a rotation, right? Like have it rotating through board members and whoever wants to partake in them. I agree with you. I think making them sunshine committees adds a whole nother level to it.
Right.
Noticing it in this and that, and changing agenda. I mean, it's just kind of a mess. Just to have a presentation and get that ball moving, so to speak.
there might be a solution with technology.
Sure.
So,
But having board members in a room is not a sunshine,
Right. Nonverbal.
If we're in the lobby,
But it's an item that is presenting that we eventually could be voting on, right? I don't know.
But we're listening and we're all hearing.
I understand.
Yeah, we're not
being
talking.
nefarious. I agree with you.
Yeah, yeah.
I agree that we wouldn't be nefarious about it. I get that, but I don't know.
Who's going to complain about sunshine on that?
I don't know. I'm not.
A construction company could come and complain and
I
say
guess.
they don't get selected, and then say, well, this was a sunshine, this wasn't done properly.
This is why part of the sunshine law is kind of crazy.
A conservative view of the sunshine, I mean, I read it, this is one of my pet peeves, but it says discuss, and if it says discuss, as long as we don't open our mouth, it's not a sunshine violation. I mean, if two or more of us get in a room and get a briefing or information about something that we're gonna vote on, I think the most conservative and most common sense way of looking at that is that's a sunshine violation, right? The point of the sunshine law is to not have meetings about things we're gonna vote on when two or more of us are present without it being properly noticed and minutes taken and all that. So the idea is, well, we kept our mouth shut. I mean, we could all come up here and sit on the dais and get all kinds of briefings, and as long as we don't say anything, well, it wasn't a school board meeting because nobody said anything, I mean, the purpose of the sunshine law is I don't necessarily agree with how strict it is, but as it is written, is to keep more than one board member from being together in a place at the same time and getting information about something that's going to be voted on. That is the intent of the sunshine law. And parsing it with, well, they didn't discuss anything because nobody opened their mouth, I think is playing in dangerous water, legal water, right? So,
Which I think is the overreach of the sunshine.
It is
Whatever.
overreach.
But thank you, so definitely look at.
We do need to
And
look
and I
at
think
that.
if we somehow can
Somebody
coordinate to where
needs to be there.
certain people
Yes.
go,
Yeah.
you know, and rotate it, things like
I
that.
didn't even, yeah, I went to one, but I hadn't gotten invited
And I know we'll get a presentation on it once we get
down to
The
the
design
final, all right.
and all that stuff. I do appreciate having the foresight to say, hey, look, if we're building two elementary schools right at the same time, let's make them the same design. I mean, they're away from each other. So, you know, I do appreciate that. And I know in briefings we talked about, well, do you want to do one CM or multiple and see how that works? You know, and I'm for the one CM as long as they can do both schools, right, at the same time.
Yeah.
If they feel like they have the capacity, that's fine.
Save
So we'll fix some of that as moving forward.
yeah.
I just want to say, this is not to take away from Skanska, because I know that they did Buffalo Creek, and from everything that I saw and heard, they were a great company to work with. They were responsive. They followed through. They seemed like they were really on the ball. So like I'm excited they got chosen. It's just that this is. I just want to make sure I'm being really clear. This is not anything to do with Skanska.
Right, it's a process.
Yeah.
All right, good discussion.
Did you have?
We
any
shall now vote
questions?
on the authorization to negotiate construction management, adverse services, CM Artisan, with the CM Artisan Lakes Elementary School, and Rye Road Ranch Elementary School prototype. That passes 5-0. Item number 6, Superintendent Weissel.
Thank you, Chairman. I recommend approval of the proposed modification of the 2024-25 SDMC academic calendar and ratification of the memoranda of agreement between SDMC and Manatee Education Association, as well as SDMC and American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, Local 1584.
So moved.
I'll second.
So you have a motion and a second. Dr. Weissong, are you the one that may be presenting what some of the changes and the modifications were?
Yeah, I'll talk through the item, Chairman, and I am going to defer at one point to Mr. Jensen for a little more detail, but we'll tag team from there. So just as an overview, again, we have missed a total of 8 instructional days, 3 due to Helene. Got back into school, got 5 days of instruction in before we missed another 5 days due to Milton. 8 days of our 180-day school year. There are multiple state requirements that we are required to comply with. There's one set of rules related to funding, and then at the secondary level, there's another set of rules related to the number of instructional hours needed to award credit for a course. There are also some accreditation standards tied to that requirement. The state has not waived any of those instructional requirements. And so after we got schools open, we did a staff analysis and we determined that we do need to make up time in order to both be in compliance with those state requirements and to ensure that our students are getting enough quality instructional hours in so that we're confident that they're making their year's growth in a year's time. The current board calendar that was approved some time ago identifies Thanksgiving week as potential hurricane makeup time. However, in this instance, those 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of Thanksgiving week, would not be sufficient on their own to meet all of our state requirements. So I'll say again, those 3 days by themselves would not be enough time to meet those requirements. And so as we talked as a leadership team, we determined that an additional calendar modification was going to be necessary. And when we look at those potential modifications, nearly all of them impact working conditions for employees, which means that we enter into a situation where we have to consult, collaborate, negotiate with our 2 employee bargaining units. And so the contracts for those 2 units have different language in them, and that reflects very different types of work done by those 2 groups. And so we had to have, again, that conversation, collaboration, negotiation to figure out the best way forward. And we took an a la carte approach to that. So we looked at each potential opportunity and the potential benefits as well as the disadvantages. And from the leadership team's perspective, when we looked at each of those opportunities, we talked about what was best for students from a learning perspective, and then we talked about what's best for families based on the stakeholder feedback we were receiving, and then we also talked about what are the impacts to employee groups. So it's all of those things together that we have to think about, and then we go into those conversations with those groups. And so we've spent a good part of the last week negotiating, and the end result was memoranda of agreement with those employee groups about the potential modifications to the calendar and how that affects employee working conditions. And so what's in front of the board this evening is a proposed modification to the calendar along with the memoranda of agreement that were signed by the presidents of those associations and by me as superintendent. And so the recommendation is that the board approve the modified calendar and ratify my signature on those two agreements. The end result of all of the changes that are proposed is, in my opinion, we have added quality time back into the calendar so that we can move forward with our assurance to families that children are getting the reading, math, science, social studies instruction that they need to make that learning gain. In the aggregate, we've increased the number of full 5-day weeks of instruction by converting some different non-attendance days on Mondays to attendance days. We believe that is a family-friendly approach. And these agreements preserve all of the longer break periods. So no impact to Thanksgiving week, no impact to the winter or semester break, and no impact to spring break. And I want to emphasize that was only possible because even if we used the Thanksgiving week, we would still need to make up additional time, and without the agreement among the three parties, we would have likely would have needed some time from the semester break or the spring break as well. So the modified calendar is our best attempt to balance all of those interests, again, in collaboration with our employee groups. I do want to note that in addition to, again, some specific changes to dates, and if the board approves, we'll push all of that information out to families later this evening and tomorrow morning, go out by email on our website, and of course principals will be communicating with their families as well. There are some additional changes that will have to be made to specific high schools' period length. We have a couple of schools where we'll be adding a minute or two to class periods and compressing other times during the day. No changes to arrival or dismissal times. And at a couple of schools there, actually at more than a couple of high schools, there will be some adjustments to the last day for seniors without changing our high school graduation schedule. I think notably and of particular interest, one of the days that we're flipping from a non-student attendance day to a student attendance day is the upcoming Veterans Day. And we want to talk about what school will look like that day in honoring veterans as we make up that lost instructional time. So Mr. Jensen's going to walk through a couple of those details with you from an instructional perspective.
Absolutely, thank you. Board, as you know, Florida Statute 1003.42 is our required instruction statute, which kind of lays out all of the the key topics that are part of the required instruction K through 12 over the course of the school year. And one of those topics is required instruction on or before Veterans Day, specifically instruction on or before Veterans Day to recognize the sacrifices of veterans and Medal of Honor recipients. And so this is something that is integrated into our curriculum and instruction to begin with. As you know, many of our schools engage in all kinds of not just instructional and curriculum topics, but recognitions and celebrations for Veterans Day. But because we'll have a unique opportunity this year on Veterans Day to engage in those topics, we thought it'd be a wonderful opportunity to encourage patriotism and recognize that we have so many veterans that have served this country on this board, who are employed in this district, and who are in our community. And so we are proposing making that a Wear Red, White, and Blue Day to encourage patriotism. So all of our students and staff who would like to participate are encouraged to wear red, white, and blue that day. And of course, we would suspend any school uniform requirements for that. And we would increase the instruction provided at all of our K-12 schools to recognize those sacrifices made from our veterans. Our curriculum department will provide lesson resources to schools across content areas so that our teachers have rich text resources and lesson resources so that they can have high quality instruction aligned to that required instruction topic and really recognizing our veterans on that day. And of course, as you know, we have many students who participate in parades and community events on Veterans Day. And of course, any of those students participating in those events would be either field tripped out of school as part of a group participating in those events or excused from school in order to participate in those events.
Thank you.
So just to wrap up, Chairman and board members, thank you for your consideration of this recommendation, this option, and I want to thank the leadership teams at MEA and ASME for being open to a discussion about the best way to move forward. And I also want to thank the leadership team, particularly Mr. Jensen, Mr. Rinaldi, have a lot of time invested in this work over the last week. And again, our goal all along has been to try to balance this as best we can for our students, our families, and our employees. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, real quick before we get some board comments, I just want to say thanks to everybody. I mean, obviously we're going through a lot with the hurricanes, and I appreciate everybody who's put time in this. It's never gonna be perfect. Not everybody's gonna be happy. There's gonna be some that want this, some that want that. And I think the ultimate, we got to think about the students first, families, our teachers, and staff, their families. So I appreciate everybody's hard effort on this. Mr. Tatum?
I would just like to address some of the concerns that were emailed to me about the fact that we put hurricane recovery days on the calendar and then we're actually not going to use those. And so I just want people to hear that that discussion came up earlier in the day, and we understand, if you saw that on the calendar, you said, well, that's kind of how I'm planning my life around it. But as Dr. Weissong said, the controlling documentation here, on whether we like it or not, are the contracts with the employee groups, right? We can't violate the contract with the employee group, so we have to negotiate with them. And so, but I wanted the people who wrote those concerns to hear that maybe in future calendars there was some discussion about how we set it up and what words we use, but it kind of is what it is at this point. What we've come up with is, as I said in the meeting we had earlier today, you can please some of the people most of the time and most of the people some of the time, but you can't please all the people all of the time. Mm-hmm. But your concerns are heard about, and that's something we should be attentive to, is if we set up a calendar and say these are our hurricane days, and then people plan that out, and then we say, well, we're not going to do that. I mean, it is a good piece of feedback that as we build future calendars, we might want to consider how we set it up, because people do plan their lives around these type of things. But I would also ask the employees to understand too that these are very extenuating circumstances. We've had 3 hurricanes during this season already. And so, when we do have extenuating circumstances and emergencies, sometimes modifications to normal procedure have to take place. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Spray, was that up? Oh, and then,
No, go ahead, you can go.
okay.
Okay. No, I just want to say that in regards to people saying that we aren't following the calendar that we published, the calendar called for makeup days during Thanksgiving week. And early on in the discussion, and Dr. Weissong was very aware that people need a break. We're all stressed and have been through a lot with the hurricanes, and to take away part of that week, some families have already got out-of-town commitments, and they probably wouldn't even be at school, so you're losing academic days. So I think it was a wise decision, and I hope everyone has a very nice Thanksgiving week.
Thank you. Ms. Spray?
First of all, the calendar we publish and vote on is sometime I hope the community staff and everyone understands that sometimes that's a breathing document. We have to go back to say, okay, 8 days we lost in school. That's no more than going through a blizzard up north. And up there, they probably would have just added days at the end of the summer. It makes it very difficult. I think the staff and the two groups working collaboratively to get this resolved. I commend you, all the hours you put into this. Flipping some of the half days into full days, and as we discussed earlier, the early release days most parents don't like the early release days because then they have to get off work early and go get their children. But being able to have that flexibility to turn that into a full day to make up that learning loss, I think is a wonderful way to resolve and still protect that valued time during the Thanksgiving holiday and spring break. That's what people sometimes pick this job for, is because of that holiday time off at Thanksgiving, Christmas, and in the spring break. So they can plan around those, knowing that, we will do all we can to protect those days, because we know you make family plans out of town or people coming into town. So I just want to say thank you for all the work that everybody did around this calendar. I had multiple conversations with Dr. Weissong about all of this, and I just think that and I know there's going to be people upset about Veterans Day, but I think they would rather be there at Veterans Day than the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. So there's a give and take there. So I'm glad that we landed on a patriotic day. I think that's going to be, I'm probably going to go to the parades and to the schools because I want to see what a lot of students come up with. I think it'll be pretty fascinating to see how they dress, the littles all the way up to the high schools. But my concern was the parades and how, because I didn't talk to you about, or Dr. Weissong about that, because I do know a lot of the JROTC students get involved in those parades, and I don't want to take that from them. So I'm glad that we got to this. It was painstaking, I know, but Thanksgiving's coming. Hang in there. All right? Thank you.
All right, I don't see any other board members lit up to speak. So let's go ahead and vote on the modification of the 24-25 academic calendar and those MOUs. And that passes 5-0. Updates brings us up to item number 10, updates. Instructional, Mr. Jensen, got anything? I know we just did updates last week, but you just did one for the...
No updates this evening, Chair.
All right, thank you. Operations. Mr. Adult.
Well, no operational update, but I just want to thank Mr. Tatum for his insight, support, and leadership. I mean, you challenged us, and we're a much better organization operationally as a result of that. I want to thank you for that.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Legal?
Real quick, I just want the board to know, we're prepared from the legal department for board orientation, the new board members.
Yep.
We've got appointments set up with just blanks to fill in. And from a legal standpoint, that, will be right after the election. Mr. Tatum, enjoyed sitting next to you for the last couple of years. Talking about the sunshine law, you challenged me a lot at the beginning of our relationship on it. You had a lot of interest in it. We had a lot of conversations about it. And then when you, just a few minutes ago, spoke about it and how to comply with it, I thought I need to give you an A+.
All right.
We'll do a little certificate and add to your other ones that you got.
Great. More stuff for the LM we want. Go ahead.
Anyway, admired your dedication to this position and have enjoyed knowing you personally.
Thank
So
you.
stay in touch.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll do that. Thank you.
Thanks.
Mr. Chair, I'll just add to that, I'm sorry it's been a short time that I've gotten to serve with you, but I appreciate your service and thank you very much. Sorry to see you go.
You're welcome.
All right, Superintendent.
Thank you, Chairman and Board. I appreciate your willingness to do this special board meeting tonight. Again, this was necessary because we had to cancel back on October 8th as we were getting ready for Milton. The October 8th agenda was done last week on the 22nd, and there were just a number of items that could not wait. And so I appreciate everyone adjusting calendars, including all of the prep time that each of you does on these items. Tonight's consent agenda, again, had 11 items on it. I want to note that the HR agenda was very short, but very important. Tonight, you approved the next steps forward for Gullet Elementary and the new Lake Manatee K through 8. Mr. Richardson, principal at Gullet, whom we had named principal of the new K-8 last summer and has really been running both campuses, will formally transition to full principal at the K-8 effective December 2nd, which is the Monday that we come back from the Thanksgiving holiday. He's been busy both running Gullet and meeting with prospective families pursuant to the opening plan that you've approved. And that first batch of invitations, voluntary reassignments to be a founding family at the K-8 will go out just before the Thanksgiving break. And so he'll be 100% focused on that when he returns. You also approved my recommendation to elevate Julie Gearhart, who is the senior assistant principal at Gullet, to be the interim principal at Gullet for the remainder of the school year. And she is excited to serve in that role and very well known to that parent community. So thank you for approving those recommendations. And then much of the rest of the consent agenda was Mr. Rinaldi's. And your approval tonight keeps projects at Palmetto High, Palmasola Elementary, and our SOAR in 4 lab moving forward. So thank you for those approvals. I have one other update for you, and it is a good news update with support from all of our departments and also in partnership with local officials and Manatee County government. We were able to inform parents and employees at Anna Maria Elementary this afternoon that they will be able to reoccupy their campus effective Monday, November 4th. That is next Monday. So again, Anna Maria Elementary has been operating out of Stewart Elementary since we returned from Helene. Principal Hoagland and the Stewart faculty have been incredible hosts to Principal Fradley and the families from Anna Maria Elementary. And we have, although we still have additional work to do at Anna Maria in buildings 2 and 3, building 1 is ready to welcome faculty and students back, and the community is ready to have the school back. And so on Friday afternoon, the Stewart team will say farewell to the Anna Maria team. We'll be working over the weekend. That's the faculty and the different district teams to get everything set up. And then on Monday morning, we'll be back in business at Anna Maria Elementary, and we're all very excited to see that happen. So again, thank you to everyone. There are hundreds of people who've been working to make that happen, both in the district and in the local community, and we're excited to take that next step. So little good news update to finish the evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
All right, board comments. Foreman, Messenger, Tatum, Spray, Choked. Ms. Foreman.
Oh, all right. A few things going on. Today, we had the Auditor Selection Committee met, and Mr. Choate observed. He was the only board member there, but it was
I didn't get to go.
a sunshine scheduled meeting, and we have another, the sunshine noticed meetings for the firms that we selected will be on November,
4th and 5th or something?
yeah, November 4th at 1 o'clock will be the external auditors. There will be presentations from 3 of the applicants, and then on Tuesday, November 5th at 1 o'clock, there are 2, I'm sorry, I've got that backward. External auditors, there are 2, and then on November 5th, we've got the internal auditors, and there'll be 3 presentations, each of them 1 hour apiece. And
That invite was sent last meeting
Right,
when Ms. Groot left, and she sent us all that stuff.
right.
oh, all right.
Yeah, via
Okay.
email. I got that email.
What time is the?
You read that one.
Can I ask you a question though?
Yeah.
After the 2 presentations,
Mm-hmm.
there's gonna be another meeting of that selection committee to then debate on the presentation, correct?
I don't know, last time we did it, we had the meeting, we made the selection right after.
Oh, so just right after you discussed?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
yeah, it's,
Okay.
it's a, you can see it was a pretty
Sure.
smooth process today, you know, when we went through came up with the finalists, and, so it could go either way. We do have a meeting, scheduled for an audit committee meeting on the Wednesday, the 6th, but I don't know that, that auditor selection will meet then, so. Speaking of dates in November, don't forget, November 7th and 8th is the Greater Florida Consortium of School Board Conference, and I believe it starts like noonish on the 7th, but there will also be, for early arrivals from out of town, there'll be a dinner on the 6th at Lazy Lobster, and so you all should have gotten invitations to that. Want to make mention, especially since we're talking about literacy, the Big Bang Theory from Chamber of Commerce. Great event, a lot of fun. And they are now looking for volunteers, and I haven't signed up yet, but
I have.
have you? Good. Over at Manatee High, I bet.
Bay Shore,
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh, sad.
So anyway,
I'm so
yeah,
behind.
as soon as I get my calendar straightened out, I'm gonna be signing up too. But it's a lot of fun, and it's really, really insightful for the kids. It's fun to watch their
Reaction.
little heads, you know, the light bulb in their heads go, oh, you know, I can't do this.
Say
So,
what for insurance?
yeah. And then another thing, I know the staff has just been incredibly busy between hurricanes and makeup days, but I noted on the calendar from a year ago in October, the board did the attorney evaluation. And I bring that up because you got 3 people coming off, and I don't think you want brand-new people doing the attorney evaluation. So maybe you can get that done before, or at least get the form filled out. So, and I know that when Mr. Hopes left, or Dr. Hopes left, he did an evaluation on his way out, so it's not unheard of. So, okay. And that's it, Mr. Tatum. Colonel Tatum, I can't wait for you to be a PhD. Then you'll be Colonel Doctor,
Yeah.
or will it be Dr. Colonel?
I don't know, we'll just go with Rich, I think that'll be fine. Too many, they say the longer your title is, the less important you are, right? So there you go.
Yeah, well, okay,
But
all
thank
right.
you, though.
Good. Thank you.
Ms. Messenger?
I don't know if I have much to add. I just want to thank everyone. We had, I feel like, a really, really productive, good discussions tonight, and I really appreciate that. And that's really all I got. I wish you well, Dr. Colonel Tatum.
Thank you.
Dr. Colonel Tatum.
Oh,
you're up.
yeah. So we'll keep with tradition here. Safety note for the evening is that Halloween is on the 31st, and there's still debris in my neighborhood, so now we're going to have kids running around walking at night with all this debris around. So think about that and be careful. Okay, don't scare the kids too much, but a little bit. It's kind of cool. You know, I got this little ghoul that's about this high, and it's electric, and it like walks around in a circle on my porch, and so you know, kids under 5, they get a little scared of that. So. Anyway, let's see. Please go vote. You can do early voting up through Saturday. I would encourage that. You never know what's going to happen on the day of voting. So whatever you choose to do on all the stuff that's on the ballot, just don't, you know, and the lines will be longer that day. And having been out there for 2 elections myself, it's just so much easier to go and vote early than it is to. Another thing I'll point out to people as I'm thinking about that too is if you have an absentee ballot, okay, during early voting, you can drop it off at any early voting location. On the day of the election, you can only drop off your absentee ballot downtown at the supervisor of election office. And I saw many people now during 2 elections showing up on the day of the vote, or the day of the election with their absentee ballot in hand, and a lot of them are a long way away from the supervisor of election office, Rocky Bluff Library, Lakewood Ranch Town Hall, even the East Fire area out there. And so if you're going to if you want to turn in your absentee ballot and not mail it, do it during early voting and take it to the nearest early voting location. If not, you're going to have to take it downtown to the SOE office. Now, your other option is that if you show up with an absentee ballot at your polling place on the day of the election, you can, and you don't want to drive downtown and turn it in at the supervisor of election office, you can turn in your absentee ballot and they'll take it from you, and then you can vote in person. But if you brought your spouse's ballot with you, then your spouse can't do that. And I did see a couple times, like I remember specifically for my school board election, there was a guy, he drove up like at 5:30 on the day of the election, and he gets out of his car at Lakewood Ranch Town Hall, and he's got two absentee ballots in his hand, and I was like, sir, I don't think that's going to work out for you real well, you know. And he's like, why not? I just want to turn them in. And I explained the whole process to him, and he said, well, and he looked at his watch and he goes, well, I can't get through this traffic and get downtown. I'm like, you're probably right. So what happened was he went in and voted, and his wife's vote, it didn't count because you know, she wasn't with him, and he couldn't go back to, and he actually said, well, she's kind of a little bit of an invalid, and I can't even get her in the car and drive her down there anyway. That was the whole point of the absentee ballots. So just get smart on those rules is what I'm saying, and make sure you understand how that works, because you don't want your vote not to count. And it's kind of a weird situation. On the day of the election, you can only drop off your absentee ballot at the supervisor of election office. So, all right. And then also, you know, there are some things on the ballot. We're choosing whether what I call invest in our community or not invest in our community. And I mean, none of us, quote unquote, like to pay any more taxes than we have to, but there is that old adage out there, and the old adage is you get what you pay for, right? So if we do have to, pay taxes, and there's two things that are inevitable, death and taxes, right? I would just encourage people to think about that phrase, that you get what you pay for, as far as infrastructure, as far as schools and all that kind of stuff. I didn't mean to leave out Mr. Chapman, as I was going around the horn earlier with my little speech. I was talking about the people right here that, I've really worked closely with, and obviously Mr. Chapman too in the back has been someone I've worked really closely with. So you'll be getting a coin too, Mr. Chapman. Didn't want to leave you out of all of that. As to the public in general and to the people in the school system, I've just been really pleasantly pleased, actually. I mean, I came in to the job with kind of a neutral, let's watch and see what's happening in the Manatee County school system. I wasn't necessarily really pro or con. I was like, I don't know much about it. Until you're on the inside of an organization, it's very hard to really make a judgment about it, I thought about this analogy the other day. I was driving around in my car. I mean, if I drove by somebody's house, let's say I had a neighbor and there were two older people living in a house, and it was a big house, and they had a big SUV, and I thought to myself, this older couple, they're retired, they don't need a big house, and they don't need a big SUV, and I passed judgment on them, right? Like, what are they doing with all that extra money? They're just wasting money, They should downsize, and they just get themselves a little Prius, and they can drive the recycling center with their Prius or something. But unless you're in the inside the organization or something, you don't know that, for instance, well, the reason we have the big house and the big SUV is this is our Florida vacation home for the family. And so the family comes down here at Thanksgiving and Christmas and over the summer, and we have 5 rooms, because we've got 2 kids and they've got 2 kids, and we need the big SUV so that everybody has a vehicle when they come, right? And so that's why we have the big SUV and the big house. You're right, but the point is, you can't judge that from the outside until you get inside the organization. All that to be said is, I've been pleasantly surprised generally now that I'm in the organization that we do have a good school system in Manatee County, and it's getting better. And it's not getting better because of the people around here necessarily, or maybe Dr. Weissong and his staff, certainly not us necessarily. We just, push buttons and give votes, right? But it's generally getting better because Dr. Weissong and the people that work for him are making it better, and I've been pleasantly surprised as to what I've seen. We have a really good school system in Manatee County. And if I can be of assistance, I don't know what that might be to anybody, as far as, I won't be taking your emails anymore. Which is fun. Well, actually, eventually that was the more pleasant part of my job, because one of the things that I really liked about being up here was I was able to help some constituents interact with, quote unquote, the bureaucracy and work through it and get a favorable resolution to that. But I don't know how I could be of assistance, but I'm still out there, and you can get a hold of me. My phone number is out there publicly generally. And then the last thing I just wanted to say was, always, Laura and Danielle, you guys have been, you ladies have been really supportive, and we don't realize, I was a young protocol officer in the Air Force myself, and we don't really understand what goes on behind the scenes to make all this stuff kind of happen. So you've been great, and the guys back there on MTTV, and ladies back there, it always works too, right? It just always works, and we just show up and it works. And so we really need to give a lot of credit to the people behind the scenes, because they're the ones who make the scene work. And that's all I have to say about that. Thank you.
Ms. Frey?
To your point of Halloween, there's a lot of debris out there. I would ask people in neighborhoods to go out and look at our sidewalks. If you don't have sidewalks like I don't ever get trick-or-treaters where I'm at. So I would say people put little puck lights out so kids can see. It's a good little marker. They're cheap. Just put little puck lights out. And decorations, you should see my son and daughter-in-law's house in North Carolina. It's the place everybody drives by, because it's something different every year. It's pretty incredible. I did have that audit committee on my calendar to come for that today, but my insurance adjuster outranked it. So when you're in line for that, you just
You
kinda,
don't miss the chance.
you don't miss the chance. And when Dr. Weissong called about the meeting and changing the scheduling of it, I'm like, yeah, he's going to be here, but this is more important, I can leave if I have to. And it worked out perfectly, so it must have meant to be. So, again, vote early. You get it out of the way. You're done. It's called bank your vote. You do it now. You don't have to worry about it anymore. You might get sick. Don't want that. And two, I saw a report that there might even be a storm coming through. So we don't need that, that's for sure. I still have roof issues. So hopefully I can make it to the other audit. You're saying the external is on the 4th and the internal's on the 5th. However, I'm working some things too. But I don't know, it's hard. I'm not going to say goodbye because you're not going anywhere in my life. You're always going to be my friend. So love to chat with you about your term, while you were here, and what you think I should have done different, or how you thought I've been on the board, and I'd like to have that conversation. And to the people on the calendar, we're already getting a plethora of discontented people. I would say to them again, you know, we had to protect your Thanksgiving week. There's sacrifices, there's give and take with everything. It's not a, we don't have the option of not making up those days. We have to make up those days. So, you know, I will say to them, you know, I'm sorry for the short notice. It's been being worked on for a while. But it is what it is. So other than that, thank you to the staff for all of the efforts. I mean, when I came in, the first thing I said to Mr. Jensen, you look beaten because he's been working so much. I just meant that as you just look exhausted. And all of you, you just work so tirelessly. And to Mr. Tatum's, you don't know the inner workings of an organization until you're in it, and we've been in it, and you know, there's things I wish I could do different on the cost of everything, but I can't control the market. I can't do that. We have to react to it, just like the growth out east. You know, we can't just not react to that, or we'd be in a world of hurt with a bunch of kids coming to our district. So it's a lot, but I just want to say thank you to all of you for what you've done on this calendar and on everything else that you've done in the hurricanes and all of that. So, and to you, Tatum, aim high.
Aim high, that's right.
Thank you.
All right, it's a pleasure. Sure, we'll cross paths again. And I think it'd be great. We talked about it. On that, staff, thank you very much. Appreciate it. And we'll see everybody next time. We are adjourned.